Rovers probably better shape than for a long time because they're starting to use local talent. They relied in the past heavily on imported players. While there's nothing wrong with that in itself, it discouraged young local players from wanting to come here. Now they have something to aim at. I think there's 6 or 7 young lads in the team at present, or certainly in the panel at present. 2 or 3 of them are getting their chance, and I think that augurs well for the future.
I think Sligo Rovers are certainly heading in the right direction. A couple of years ago they won the treble FAI Cup, First Division Championship and the Shield, and the support then was unbelievable. Now it has fallen off, but I think what they proved then is that they can capture the imaginations. Sligo is a soccer-mad town.
Identical twins Leo and Jim Gray are a prominent part of the sporting fraternity of Sligo. They both work for local newspaper the Sligo Champion, where Jim in blue is a reporter and Leo is sports editor. And if it wasn't for Jim, Leo wouldn't have got the job.
I was actually at it a bit longer than Leo, and a vacancy arose in the Sligo Champion, and they must have been slightly impressed with what I was doing anyway, because they knew I had a twin, and they asked me would he be interested, and I said he might be, yeah. So they said would he be as good as you? I said better, and that's how it happened.
As well as being avid supporters of Sligo themselves, Leo and Jim are also very aware of how their newspaper reaches out and touches other people's lives.
Well, I think it's very important to people locally that they have a local angle. You know, the national scene is grand, but I think you need to focus in a little bit on the local element of it. I think that's the role of the local newspapers, to highlight it, you know, from a strictly local angle, not a parochial angle, not a very sort of narrow thing, but be always conscious of the fact that you're providing a service for a local readership.
Yeah, I think it's important that while we have to be objective, we're journalists, and first and foremost that's what we try our best to be, but you have to be conscious of the fact too that in an unofficial way you're sort of a PRO for the club, but once it comes to Saturday night and there's a match, you know, that's done away with. We try to anyway write it as we see it, and if that means being critical, and it often does, then that's what we do. Sometimes I tend to be a bit more critical, I think, than Leo, and that has led to, he being the sports editor, it has led to his biro going through some of my best work at times.
But you have to be slightly more conscious of the fact that our readership is local. Just have to temper it a little bit.
The other thing too is that the Sligo Champion is a huge sale, obviously locally, but people, I think, away from Sligo, in Dublin, in London, and indeed further afield, the Champion to them is their only contact with Rovers. They will never see Rovers playing all season. They won't hear radio reports, so their only connection with the club is through the Champion, and that's something we're always very conscious of as well.
But the Gray twins have one area they absolutely disagree on.
I've been supporting Man United all my life, long before the money, long before the hype. In fact, my first time at Old Trafford was for an old second division match between United and Sunderland, so that's how far back it goes. Thankfully, they've now got the money and more of it, and they've got